have to be honest, this story caught me off guard. I went in not expecting much, and now I'm the one lying awake at 2 a.m. thinking about it. What could that mean? The way he left wasn't because he stopped caring, it was the opposite. And the 3 years after, that part actually hurt to read. But here's what I keep asking myself. If someone spent years trying to find you again, do you let them? Do you even deserve to? I'm still not sure. And that's exactly why I can't stop thinking about this story.
My name is Henry. Currently, I am an unknown male artist in the entertainment industry. I'm lingering among the ranks of the third male lead, fourth male lead, and fifth male lead. Occasionally, I make guest appearances as the second male lead or an extra. I never even dreamed that I would be on the hot search list. Moreover, it stayed on there for the whole day, and the popularity remained high. It was just because I sent out a wrong message. When I woke up, the whole world seemed to have exploded. The cause was that Theodoi, the crown prince of the entertainment industry who never posted on Weibo, the current top star and also a movie emperor, posted 3 consecutive Weibo posts at 3 o'clock in the morning. Which bastard dares to steal my man? On his empty Weibo page. The last post was still the system message when he joined the platform 5 years ago. Netizens were shocked. It seems that Theodoi is very angry. Just after dropping a bombshell on his fans and before they could recover, Theodoi posted the second one half an hour later.
It's only been a little over 3 years since we broke up, and you're already going to sleep with another man. How could you do this to me?
His 30 million fans across the whole network.
Theodoi, who used to be so outspoken in variety shows, is actually troubled by love one day.
People on Weibo were gossiping until 5 o'clock. Theodoi posted the third one with a desperate tone. My wife seems to have a boyfriend. The previous behavior could still be regarded as an idol doing something abstract in the middle of the night. But with this statement, even the most optimistic fans couldn't help but start to wonder. So, fans all over the network began to search everywhere for clues, trying to figure out who Theodoesa, wife, actually was. And my slow brain finally started to work. Yesterday, it seems, I sent a wrong message. Right. I turned on my muted phone, and there were 2 people who had replied to my messages on the top of my WeChat. William sent 2 messages.
Brother, I'm not going anymore. I've talked things through with MLIA, and I'll respect her decision. MLIA said she'll invite you to have dinner at her place some other day.
Seeing that I didn't reply, he didn't send any more messages. Below him was the name Theodoi. Just looking at the black font on white background profile picture made one's heart flutter with panic. Then I fell silent when I saw the number of unread messages. 99 plus. Is Theodoi a single person who has sent me so many messages that it looks like a group chat? With great difficulty, I scrolled to the top. At 3 o'clock in the middle of the night yesterday, 3 years after our breakup, I sent him a message. Come and sleep at my place tonight. Then he started to be sarcastic to me.
Henry, we've already broken up. What do you regret it now? I'm telling you, Theodoi, never go back to my ex unless you apologize and admit your mistake first. But don't think I'll forgive you so easily. I'm not a lovesick fool who can be summoned and dismissed at will. Henry, speak up. If you sincerely want to win me back, maybe I'll give you a chance to meet me. Just so happens that I have a variety show next Tuesday, and I'm still short of a guest. You'd better seize the opportunity.
I was groggy and had a terrible headache from being woken up by the message alerts due to a severe lack of sleep. I opened my phone and saw that I had sent the message to the wrong person. So I replied to him, "Sorry, sent it to the wrong person." Then I turned on the silent mode and went to sleep. And now, I'm scrolling down bit by bit. Theodore.
Henry, sent it to the wrong person. To whom did you send it wrongly? Did you send it to me wrongly? If it wasn't sent to me, then to whom did you send it? Henry sent it to the wrong person. Whom do you want to come and sleep at your place? You make it clear. I'm telling you I won't allow it. I won't allow it. Henry, reply.
4 of the clock.
Henry, what are you doing? Has that mistress already arrived at your place? You tell me, you tell me. What on earth am I to you? Is he better than me? Is he more handsome than me? Or does he have bigger abs than me? Or is he better than me in any way?
A photo showing his firm chest muscles while wearing the hotel pajamas. A photo of his firm 8-pack abs. Further down, in the video, his slender fingers hooked onto the belt of the pajamas and yanked it down as if with determination, revealing a large part of his Adonis belt. With a snap, I slapped my phone onto my lap. The cheeks and ear tips were blushing all over. Why is Theodore becoming more and more? Without any bottom line. But the hand uncontrollably turned it over again, looking greedily again and again. 5 of the clock in the early morning. Theodore saw that I still refused to pay attention to him. Although it was clearly text that was sent, it had a strong sense of, my heart is already dead.
Baby, did you really sleep with that man? Don't you want me anymore? It doesn't matter. As long as you come back. No matter what has happened. I won't mind. Henry, please. Don't leave me behind again. Okay.
Looking at the words, again, in the message, I felt as if my heart had been pricked by a needle. The pain was so intense that it made it hard to breathe. But I could only turn a blind eye to it. My fingertips were trembling, and I couldn't even send him another message. I originally thought that hot search topics, although they have quite a high popularity, would always pass eventually. Who would have known that Oliver, the popular male idol from the same company as me, blatantly posted a Weibo about a cat?
Why wouldn't it be considered having a new boyfriend? Some people are being overly jealous.
The fans who were following the gossip saw it and were like,
It's hard.
This cat. Why does it seem like the one at Theodore's place?
Theodore has an adopted tabby cat, a male cat named Candy. He has had it for several years. And basically anyone who pays a little attention to Theodore knows about it. The most commonly used cat emojis by Theodore were drawn by his fans based on the appearance of Candy. And they are deeply loved by young Master ex.He. The cat in Oliver's picture has almost the same markings as Candy, coupled with ambiguous remarks and the emoji of the cat rolling its eyes. Theodoressa fans are still waiting and seeing, while Oliver's fans have already recognized Theodore as their son-in-law. They start to promote everywhere and ship the couple.
My Oliver has a good taste. He can win over Theodore. The top star.
Theodore is not bad either. He is just a good match for my baby.
Seeing Oliver's sweet smile in the photo, I felt like there was a lump in my throat. The spreading sourness in my heart made my eyes feel sore. Before I could get over it, I received a message from Sophie, the agent.
Oliver's popularity is on the rise, and the company has arranged a travel variety show for him. Why are you telling me this?
Sophia sighed on the other end of the line.
The company means that they need a foil. Well, from the perspective of a friend, I don't recommend you to go. But as an agent, I suggest you could give it a try. After all, in the entertainment industry, being infamous is also a kind of popularity. Traffic is the capital of everything.
I was silent for quite a while. The resources the company has given me are not good. Most of the works I have starred in are low-budget web dramas with mediocre production. It's too difficult to make a name for myself. Moreover, recently, because my earnings are not good, the company's resources for me have become even worse. Forget it. I won't be that unlucky to run into Theodai the first time I participate in a variety show. Finally, I gritted my teeth and made up my mind. Sister, I'll go. I've already given up on my dream once. This time, I don't want to give up again. At the recording site of the variety show. With my status, I'm not worthy of being picked up and dropped off by the program team. I can only take a taxi and carry my luggage to go there alone. Sophia is busy with something, and I can't afford to hire an assistant either. The journey is not short. There was a traffic jam for a while. By the time I arrived, almost everyone was there, except Theodai. Oliver glanced at me and said in a neither too loud nor too soft voice,
"Don't you know who you are? Do you expect us to wait here for you? Are you even worthy of that?"
Not everyone had arrived yet, and the cameras hadn't been turned on. Oliver had a bad attitude. The other several teachers took a look at me. Just an unknown nobody they didn't even recognize. They just took a glance and then turned their heads away. Sorry, dear teachers. I've wasted your time. I pursed my lips and wanted to bow to apologize to them. Just as I was about to bend down, a big hand pressed on the hand with which I was tightly gripping the suitcase. The voice was behind me, gritting teeth and speaking in a low voice.
Henry, how dare you come to see me?
The Adam's apple rolled uneasily, but I didn't even have the courage to turn around. Theodai, the person who has illuminated my entire youth. The person I've been avoiding for 3 years. The person who I've permanently pinned to the top of my contacts list, but could only touch the name in the dead of night, not even daring to send a single message. With red eyes, I really wanted to cry for a moment, but when I turned my head, I saw the camera that came in with Theodai. I could only lower my eyes and hide my tears. Hello, Theodai. Theodai stared at me with his dark eyes, as if he was going to bite the words to pieces in his mouth. Theodai was just about to say something more when I raised my eyes with my reddish eye corners trembling. Full of pleading in my eyes, he scowled and stiffly spat out a few words perfunctorily.
Hello.
But even though we had greeted each other, his hand still grasped my wrist tightly and didn't let go for a moment. I tried to break free, but he grasped me even etigatur, and Theodoressa's fingertips even turned a little white.
What's going on with Theodoressa's hand? Why is he holding onto that little brother and not letting go?
My baby is just standing there watching. But Theodai is holding someone else's hand. What? Is he going to cheat on my baby?
Your baby this. Your baby that. What did Theodai write your Oliver's name? Theodai has never admitted that Oliver is his wife.
What do you mean if Oliver isn't the sister-in-law? Then who is that good-looking passerby little brother?
On the first day of the variety show, everyone was introducing themselves. Although Theodai let go of my hand, he kept sitting opposite me and staring at me intently. I lowered my head, pressing my wrist that had been reddened by his grip with my hand. and my whole mind was blank. I shouldn't have come. I underestimated the impact Theodoi had on me. After not seeing each other for a full 3 years, his voice, his presence, and his gaze still made me tremble all over and lose control of myself. If I had known that Theodoi would come, I would definitely have avoided him, even though I really wanted to see him. After everyone had finished introducing themselves, only I, with my head down, and Theodoi, who remained silent, were left. It's your turn. Theodoi, introduce yourself. Theodoi looked at me without even moving his eyes, sneered, crossed his arms, and leaned lazily but aggressively on the sofa.
If I still need to introduce myself, haven't I been wasting my time in the entertainment circle?
Theodoi, 24 years old, the only son of a bigwig in the entertainment industry. His mother is a Grand Slam movie queen. He has been hanging around in the crews of various famous directors since he was a child, and resources would be delivered to him even when he was just sitting there. He won his first Best Actor award at the age of 17 with his own abilities. What we haven't even started to learn, he has already mastered just by being influenced by what he saw and heard when he was young. When he was in college, even though he had a really bad temper, everyone still wanted to get involved with him. He was like the center of attention. Even I couldn't help but look at him again and again. That was the first time I fell in love with someone. In my barren and bitter youth, it was like a little bit of moonlight was sprinkled. Just by taking a glance from afar, it was as if I was marked for a lifetime. Even when someone shouted his name beside me, it would make me panic and lose my composure. I would follow the senior and junior schoolmates to watch him play ball, read, and daze in the library. And then he would fall asleep with his hair sticking up. And even the curve of it was cute. Every book that he had used as a pillow in the library, I borrowed later. I was like a sneaky rat lurking in the dark, longing for something but too afraid to come into the light. Everyone knows that besides acting, Theodoi is most famous for his sharp tongue and bad temper. But I have seen him hold an umbrella for the stray cats in the school on a rainy day. Finally, the rain was too heavy. He fixed the umbrella and left it for the kitten. And he himself got soaked like a drowned rat and could only run over to stand under the eaves with me to avoid the rain. Love at first sight. And the feeling still lingers, even after getting to know each other for a long time. The more I got to know him, the more I liked him. That was the first time I was alone with him. It was clearly raining, yet my cheeks were burning hot. I wanted to try to strike up a conversation with him, but I just couldn't bring myself to open my mouth no matter what. I wanted to get closer, but was afraid of getting too close. I even thought somewhat disappointedly that it would be great if I had an umbrella at this moment, so that I could walk up to him openly. I asked him with a smile, "Hello, would you like to go back together?" But I was also afraid that if I had an umbrella, I would lose this chance to be alone with him. My mood became more and more chaotic, and my cheeks grew redder and redder. In the end, even my breathing and my mind became a bit heavy. But the moonlight fell in front of me on this cloudy and rainy day when the sky was overcast with dark clouds. My forehead was pressed by a big hand, and his voice was hazy.
Classmate, it seems that you are ill.
Yes, I've been ill since the first sight of you. I stared at his face blankly, and finally dizzy. I bumped into his arms head first, warm as safe, with a faint fragrance like in a dream. When I woke up again, I was lying in the school infirmary, with a fever patch still on my head. I was sweating all over, but my waist and arms were tightly held in someone's arms through the quilt. I was stunned for a moment, then looked up and saw Theodoresa's sleeping face with his brows still furrowed and the sweat stains on his forehead. I just stared at him greedily like this for a long time, until the sleeping person slowly opened his eyes. He asked me in a hoarse voice,
Am I good looking?
My cheeks blushed, and my voice was barely audible. Yes, good looking. But how did we? I was a bit shy, but Theodore pinched the soft flesh on my face. I was a bit confused.
Huh?
Theodore raised his eyebrows. His tone unfriendly. I finally showed some kindness and took care of a sick classmate. But the classmate wouldn't be honest, always kicking off the quilt and even trying to kick me.
Little classmate, you teach me. What should I do? Huh?
Guilty. I didn't dare to speak anymore. After that incident, Theodore and I naturally became friends. Being friends is also good. At least, he knows who I am and knows my name. Until Theodore went out for activities and social engagements and got drunk. After I helped him lie down, looking at his ruddy lips with the smell of alcohol, I thought a bit greedily that if I just kissed him once, I surely wouldn't be discovered. People are always greedy, and I'm no exception. I bent down and gently placed my lips on the corner of his lips. I had intended to withdraw immediately after the touch, but when I was about to get up and leave, someone pinched my waist.
Sneaking up on me.
I tried to push him away in a flustered manner. No one knows Theodore. You have a rest. I won't disturb you anymore. But that person wouldn't listen to my explanation. He just reached out and pressed my head, pressing me onto his lips again. In a hoarse voice,
Be good. Let your husband give you a kiss.
Husband. I stood there blankly, letting him drag me into the whirlpool. The moon hanging high in the sky bowed its head and saw the monkey in the water attempting to desecrate it. He raised an eyebrow, laughing wantonly, and the sweat dripped down his chin onto my waist.
Henry, do you like me?
I was breathing rapidly, and my heart was pounding like a drum. As if deaf, I could only hear my own heartbeat and the confession with a sob in my ears. Why, yes, I like you. He clasped the back of my neck and slowly pulled me into his arms, and his smiling voice echoed in my ears. He said,
What a coincidence. I like you too.
I even gloomily guessed back then, how could Theodore like me? Was it a bet with someone, or was he just having fun with me, or was it out of pity for me? Anything would do, as long as I could meet him. Even if I were to be regarded as a joke, I would be willing to. Lost in memories, the light in my eyes flickered on and off. I was patted on the shoulder vigorously. I raised my head in a fluster, only to see Oliver, whose eyes were full of jealousy, forcing a smile and saying,
Henry, Teacher Ajeng asked you to introduce yourself. Why are you still in a daze in front of the senior?
I composed myself. As soon as I raised my head and forced a smile, I met Theodoresa's dark eyes, which scared me so much that I immediately looked away. Hello, dear teachers. My name is Henry. I'm a novice actor. Before others could say anything, Theodore snorted coldly.
3 years after graduating from university, and you're still a novice actor.
My lips quivered twice, and I lowered my head. Oliver on the side thought that Theodore looked down on me, so he followed Theodoresa's words and sneered.
with no achievements. Naturally, one can only claim to be a novice actor.
Theodore lowered his eyes, and his face immediately darkened.
Did I ask you?
Oliver was humiliated in front of the camera and shut his mouth with an ugly look on his face.
I'm asking you. Henry, didn't you get top-notch resources after graduating from university? How come you're still a rookie actor?
His breathing became more and more difficult under his interrogation. Everything in front of me went white, as if I had gone back to my college days. After falling in love with Theodore, lifetime, and even the air seemed sweet every second. Everyone said that I was extremely lucky. Just happened to catch Mr. Theodore. Some people were jealous and inevitably said some sarcastic remarks behind my back.
What kind of family background does Theodore have? How could he take a fancy to Henry? He's just attracted by his good looks and is just playing with him.
I heard that Henry is from a small place. When school started, his mother looked so old that she seemed like his grandmother. Maybe she isn't even his biological mother.
What they said was really mean. Both men and women. These were nothing. I could endure them all. As the graduation ceremony was approaching, Theodore was still discussing with me where to go for a graduation trip the day before. But the next day, he was suddenly assigned to go abroad for work. He placed his big hand on my head and roughly ruffled my hair into a mess. His voice was downcast.
I still wanted to be the first one to go on stage to present you with flowers after your performance. If I leave, maybe someone will try to take advantage of the situation.
I looked at him amusedly and let him push me down obediently. Then his lips kissed mine. I am like the wild grass on the roadside, the small flower in spring, so ordinary and common that no one cares. Only Theodore would treat me as a rose that everyone is vying for. I thought that loving him would be the rest of my life. Until, on the day of the graduation ceremony, an accident happened. When I, who was about to perform, stood on the stage, I saw, in the front row, a person I never wanted to see in my whole life. That was the nightmare of the first half of my life with my mother and younger brother. Endless smell of cigarettes and alcohol. Endless violence. In the midnight, my mother was wailing and roaring with wounds all over her body. My younger brother and I were huddled in the wardrobe, and the scars of cigarette butts still remain on our shoulders till now. My throat seemed to be stuck, and I could no longer breathe smoothly. His muddy eyes looked at me, and his chapped lips were wriggling with the shape of words, as if opening up my nightmare.
Son, Dad has finally found you.
With my eyes red and my hands trembling, I almost fled the stage like a madman amid the exclamations of the teachers and students. There was only one thought in my mind. Escape. Escape with my mother and younger brother together. I dashed back to the dormitory and stuffed all the packed things into the suitcase in a hurry. When I was about to go out with my luggage, someone pushed open the door of my dormitory. That was Theodore's mother. Although it was, I had to accept her scrutiny and negotiation. Because not far away, that man and her bodyguards were standing there.
Is it classmate Henry?
I nodded my head and watched her look around. Finally, she condescended to sit on the single chair. I almost uncontrollably got my eyes red. I walked around her and stared fixedly at the man behind her.
I know you're a good kid.
I didn't say a word. She lit a cigarette and said,
But
while blowing out smoke,
you also know the identity of my Theodore. In the entertainment circle, relationships between men and women are often short-lived. It's okay to just have some fun. But it's not okay to be serious. It's even more unacceptable for him to be serious.
My throat was dry, but I looked into her eyes, trying to move her with my sincerity. But I like him, we. Before I could finish my words, she interrupted me.
What do you have to like him with? A dilapidated family or your gender that can't give him children? If his father cuts off his allowance, can you afford to support my son, who has been pampered since childhood? You like him. But could you bear to see him walk out of the wealthy family and suffer with you in the underground markets?
Her words hit me one after another. So light, yet so painful. The words I wanted to say got stuck, because I knew that everything she said was right. Actually, I can't offer Theodore a future.
He loves acting so much and is so talented. As long as he gets a little older, takes on leading roles in a few big budget productions. Within 3 to 5 years, no one will be able to surpass his position. Henry, are you really willing to let him abandon everything and start all over again with you?
Tears slid down from the corners of my eyes. I'm not willing. Theodore is talented and never gets arrogant because of being favored. He would hold my hand and sit with me at the crossroads, watching the various aspects of people's lives, their every move. He said,
The most difficult acting skill is to be an ordinary person. To be someone who lives right beside you. Being unremarkable all the time, yet truly existing.
When he said this, his eyes were firm and there was a glow around him. I can't imagine what the world would eventually become like if he left acting. But what about leaving me? I was stunned for a moment, and then the anger around me dissipated. Probably, it would be the same as usual. I took the bank card given by Theodore's mother. Madam, I hope that this person will never appear in the world of me and my family again.
Forever.
These words were almost spat out through gritted teeth. Theodore's mother nodded. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath and wiped away my tears. Looking at Theodore's mother, I asked, "May I leave now?" She didn't say anything, but her eyes were looking at the mobile phone in my hand. The knuckles of the hand clutching the mobile phone turned white. But finally, I gave up struggling. Because she said,
Think about your mother who has worked hard to raise you and your younger brother who has just entered high school.
I opened the mobile phone and clicked on the chat box with Theodore. I've got a top-notch resource and need to go to the mountains to shoot in seclusion for 2 years. Theodore, let's not hold each other back. Let's break up. The mobile phone paused for a moment and then started ringing nonstop. One after another were Theodore's panicked replies. Theodore,
Are you kidding? Henry, it's not April Fool's Day today. Explain it to me clearly. Didn't we agree that we would never say the word break up? Are you itchy? Why don't I go back and fix you up? Honey, Henry, reply. Try pretending to be dead again and see what happens. I said we're not breaking up, and that's that. I don't agree. Henry.
Between Theodore and his family, I gave up on Theodore, and also gave up on my dream. I watched helplessly as Theodore's messages, from wanting to meet when he left in the first year and asking me to give him an explanation, gradually changed into something else.
Henry, you liar, you promised to love me for a lifetime.
Until the 3rd year, he finally gave up, and his love turned into hatred.
Henry, you'd better not let me catch you in this lifetime.
And now, looking at Theodai, who is within arm's reach. My lips quivered twice, suddenly spat out a sentence. Because I got a boyfriend, I gave up the opportunity. The opportunity to come back was not easy. It was only after Theodai stopped mentioning me that his mother was willing to relent and let me come back. Although all of my resources were controlled so that I would never meet Theodai, I was still quite content. It has been 3 years. For the first time, I am so close to my beloved dream. I don't want to, and I will never give it up again. As for Theodai, he is like the bright moon in the sky. Even if a monkey manages to catch it briefly, it will only be like flowers in the water. The moon in the mirror. An illusion. Since that's the case, it would be better to just watch him from afar. On the first day of the variety show, Theodai looked at me with a menacing glare all day long. I summoned up my courage to try to avoid him, just wanting to be a quiet foil. However, Senior Ujang, the singer who spoke first, glanced at Theodai. Then he smiled gently and said, "I haven't come out to have fun for a long time, and I'm not very proficient in these travel matters. Well, let Henry and Theodai be responsible for the travel affairs together." I said, I can't do it." Oliver gritted his teeth and said,
If Henry doesn't understand, why not let me?
Theodai raised his eyes, and his gaze was as cold as if it carried a blade. Oliver could only shut up again. No one interrupted. I was just a nobody. Since Theodai didn't say anything, the matter was settled like this. On the second day, we were going to transfer to a new tourist destination. Air tickets, accommodation, luggage, arranged vehicles. Everything needed to be prepared. I secretly took a glance at Theodai, who hadn't spoken a word since I mentioned my boyfriend. I didn't dare to ask him for help. I could only make phone calls one after another and calculate the bills by myself. On the first floor of the villa, there were fewer and fewer people as time went by. Finally, only I, who was calculating the accounts, was left, along with Theodai, who was sitting on the sofa watching me, and Oliver, who had been staring at Theodai. Oliver tried to strike up a conversation with Theodai, but Theodai didn't even bat an eyelid and just threw 2 words at him. "Shut up!" The live broadcast room exploded completely. Oliver left for his room upstairs, fuming with anger and losing face. I sat opposite Theodai, feeling extremely uncomfortable, as if sitting on pins and needles, with a thorn in my back and a bone stuck in my throat. Just as everything was properly arranged, I immediately stood up and quickly packed up my things. "Well, teacher Api, I'm going upstairs to sleep first." I was about to flee in a fluster, but when I turned around, I was blocked between the table and someone. Theodai.
Is he your boyfriend?
His thin lips were pursed as he stared fixedly at my expression. My eyes wandered, and I forced myself to grunt an affirmative. However, he sneered and questioned me unhurriedly.
What's his name? How old is he? Where does he work? Which university did he graduate from? When did you two meet? How long have you been dating? What's his mobile phone number?
My mind went blank from all the questions. The more confused my expression became, the more Theodai couldn't help but smile. Until finally, he made a conclusive judgment with certainty.
Henry, you don't have a boyfriend at all. You were just lying to me. Right?
My lips hurt from biting them, and tears were glistening in my eyes. I clenched my palms tightly. letting my fingernails scrape against my skin, leaving red marks. I can't. Whenever I face Theodai, I want to rush into his arms without hesitation. But I can't. The terrifying look of that person still often appears in the dreams of the three of us, even after such a long time. I can't let him have another chance to hurt my mother and my younger brother. Theodoresa's hands were trembling as he cupped my face, and his approaching lips were quivering slightly. He closed his eyes, with tears sticking to his eyelashes and quivering slightly, like two butterflies trying to save themselves. I reached out and pressed against his chest. He's William, years old, studying computer science at a university. We met 3 years ago. He's younger and still hasn't graduated. We've been together for about 3 years. His phone number is... My voice was not loud. Only Theodai and I could hear it clearly. The air around seemed to have frozen. The hands cupping my face were trembling, and the tears on his eyelashes fell onto my lips along his face. Tasting bitter, I thought that after saying this, he would back off because I had a boyfriend. But no. He took a step back and then firmly clasped the back of my neck again, leaning forward so that I couldn't escape.
Henry, you're trying to deceive me again.
My lips were bitten hard, so fiercely as if to devour me. I pounded on his chest with all my might, looking helplessly at the camera behind him. The lens there hadn't been turned off. It was a live broadcast. Has Theodai gone crazy? Does he really not want to stay in the entertainment circle anymore? My wrists were tightly gripped, and his pupils were full of paranoia. Henry, I said it's for a lifetime. Even if you lie, you have to lie to me for a lifetime.
Not even a minute less.
The live broadcast was cut off, and the whole network was in chaos. I fled in a hurry again, leaning against the door panel, crying uncontrollably. What have we done wrong? We just like each other. Theodai hates being deceived by others the most, but I have deceived him again and again. I also want to openly tell everyone that Theodai likes me, and I like him too. But I can't decide my birth. I can't decide who gave birth to me either. I'm like a bird trapped since birth. No matter how I flap my wings, I can't fly out of the cage. Early the next morning, everyone got up early to catch the plane at the airport. My eyes were swollen like walnuts. As soon as I sat down in my seat, Oliver plopped down right next to me, looking at me fiercely.
Henry, I saw you kissing last night. Don't think that just because you kissed Theodai you can interfere with me. I'm telling you, you'd better watch out. I'm determined to have Theodai.
Looking at him, I thought he was so inexplicable. We broke up long ago. Oliver glanced at me with disdain in his eyes.
It's good. I don't know if Theodai is blind. How could he possibly take a liking to you?
I was a bit tired after not sleeping all night and didn't want to quarrel with him, who knew that Oliver suddenly reached out and pinched me hard, ordering,
Go and sit with the staff.
I didn't want to move, but when I thought that I was here to be his supporting role, I had no choice but to stand up impatiently. Only when I stood up did I realize that all the seats were taken except for two. One was next to the staff member, and the other was next to Oliver, while Theodai was still outside making a phone call. As soon as I had just sat down in the window seat, I saw Theodoresa's long legs stop next to the staff member.
Hello? Could you please change seats?
Oh, okay, sure.
The staff member, not knowing what was going on, still cooperatively changed seats. Oliver was so angry that he gritted his teeth.
Henry, I'm asking you one more time, who is William?
I lowered my head and didn't say a word.
You used your own younger brother to deceive me.
Theodore was so angry that he stretched out his legs and pushed me with his knees.
Speak, Henry.
Since you already know everything, why are you still asking me? I was so angry that I raised my head a little, with tears glistening in my eyes. However, since we were on the plane, I could only lower my voice. Theodoresa's dark eyes were fixed on me, full of complexity.
Henry, I want you to tell me personally the reasons why you left and gave up on me, your feelings for me, and how you've been through these 3 years. I want you to tell me every single detail. I don't believe what others say about you. I only want to hear it from you.
My pupils suddenly tightened. I opened my mouth, but didn't make a single sound. The falling tears were caught by his outstretched hand.
Henry, my patience only allows me to give you the time until the plane lands.
The plane landed and everyone returned to the booked hotel. As soon as the rooms were allocated, my wrist was suddenly grasped tightly. Under the gaze of the live broadcast camera, I was impatiently dragged into the room by Theodore. The door panel slammed shut. Theodore locked the door. The moment he looked over, I felt like a prey being targeted by a wild beast. He reached out and undid the buttons on his shirt.
Have you figured out what to say?
I nodded my head.
Yes. Why did you leave me?
His tone was obscure and his eyes were gloomy, as if he was crying deep inside. My nose tingled. Because I'm a scoundrel. I love money. I broke up with you for money. Theodore clenched his teeth tightly and suddenly rushed forward, grabbing my shoulders harshly. Henry, how long are you going to keep lying to me? Do you think I'm still that college student who only had acting on my mind back then? Is it that hard to admit that you were forced to give up by my mother with money, and that bastard? I froze. I looked up at Theodore. You already know everything. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes, and every word was filled with bottomless darkness.
Shouldn't I know? I just went abroad for a job. And when I came back, my hometown was stolen, Henry. Are you mute? Is it that hard to tell me these things? You didn't even want to contact me for 3 years. How could you be so cruel?
All my secrets and sufferings have been seen. The dark and unbearable past events of the family. That was what I tried my best to hide in front of my pure moon. And now it's all laid out in front of him. Do you know when our family was the happiest? It was when we learned that that bastard had run away. I even thought darkly about why he didn't just die. Theodore, I'm a coward. I can never forget everything from my childhood in this lifetime. I can't get out of this quagmire, and I don't want to drag you into it either. I thought I could escape, that we could all escape. But it's not the case. He just showed up so easily, shattering all my hopes. He's like a time bomb, ready to explode anywhere in my life. I reached out and hugged Theodore around the waist, and he reached out and held me tightly in his arms. Tears soaked through the clothes and left marks on his waist. You're like a beam of light falling on me. So that ordinary me also has a stage that belongs only to myself.
Then do you love me?
I didn't say anything, but the choked sobs couldn't stop coming from my throat. How could I not love you? But do I deserve it? He took a step back and faced me, our eyes meeting.
Henry, as long as you say you love me, we'll make up.
I stared at him blankly, my frozen brain seemingly unable to understand what he was saying. He pretended to be calm, but his trembling hands and red eyes betrayed him. Theodore, can we really make up? He said in a dull voice.
Yes,
Theodore,
yes.
I love you. I made up with Theodore. It had been a full 3 years since we separated. So many things happened during that time. Yet he forgave me just because of the words. I love you. The matter of our previous kiss had been fermenting on the internet for such a long time. Oliver's fans got involved and firmly refused to admit that Oliver wasn't the one Theodore liked. They called me a homewrecker and Theodore a scumbag. Until Theodoressa fans dug out the group photos of us when we were in university. The situation completely changed. Awesome. Big shot they could still find these photos after so many years. Sister-in-law Henry was so young back then. Theodore couldn't take his eyes off her.
I was in the same class as them. Henry was a prominent figure back then. The second most handsome guy in school next to Theodore. Unfortunately, he was a low-key person and was always hard to find.
I remember there were even more boys who had a crush on Henry than girls back then. So much so that after the two of them started dating, Theodore had a sour look on his face whenever he saw anyone.
The evidence is conclusive. Theodore's wife, who already had a boyfriend, was Henry.
Well, who knows how they broke up later.
I lived right across from Henry back then. After the graduation ceremony, a wealthy lady, accompanied by bodyguards and a middle-aged man, went to the dormitory to look for him. After that, he disappeared without a trace. I don't know anything else.
Shocked could it be? The one in the legend.
Is it the classic routine of the evil mother-in-law? No wonder Theodore has been displeased with everyone these 3 years. His wife was taken away by his mother. If I were in his shoes, I'd also want to hit someone.
Theodore, who doesn't like to post on Weibo, even proudly posted a photo of holding hands on Weibo.
I knew that my wife still loves me.
There were fans asking about Oliver in the comments. Theodore posted a confused cat face emoji and replied,
Who is Oliver?
Many fans.
Huh?
The fans were stunned for a moment. And then they left over 1,000 comments with laughter.
Oliver is still trying to ride on the coattails of popularity. Just you wait. In Theodore's eyes, there's only his wife.
In Theodore's world, there are only 3 kinds of people: his wife, acquaintances, and strangers.
Previously, although Theodoressa fans didn't like Oliver, they were afraid that in case it was true, they might end up offending Theodoressa wife. Now it's all good. Things have become clear. Oliver is obviously just a popularity seeker. These highly aggressive fans who like Theodore have started to attack Oliver. They took the screenshot of Theodoressa
Who is Oliver?
and sent it everywhere. Oliver's fans were extremely angry but could do nothing about it. For several consecutive days, a lot of Oliver's past scandals were dug up. He originally wanted to ride on Theodoressa popularity and create a seepy hype with him in the variety show. Now that I've shown up in person, he's of no use anymore. He had no choice but to pack his bags in dismay and go back to the company. During the rest of the journey, I don't know if it was the change of my state of mind, or there are just many beauties in this world that I haven't discovered before. When the variety show ended, I was actually reluctant to part. I pointed at the apple on the pole that was hanging up and showed it to Theodore. Theodore, look. That's you. Then I pointed at the little panda on the ground that was running around the tree in a hurry. That's me. I just felt a bit sad in my heart. I wanted to say that if there was no human intervention, I might never be able to reach you in my whole life. The next second, however, I saw that a gust of wind blew by and the apple hit the little panda's head with a splash. It happily picked it up and took a bite. Theodore held my hand and raised his eyebrows.
If the mountain won't come to me, I'll go to the mountain. Henry, as long as you keep looking at me, I'll catch you eventually.
At that moment, the stone in my heart seemed to be completely overturned. Theodore, if I hadn't sent the wrong message that night, would you have come to find me? Theodore frowned and reached out to flick my forehead.
Do you think you could come back to film in the past half year or so because my mother relented, silly girl? It's your husband here who has been trying to figure out a way all the time.
No wonder at the beginning of the year, I, who had only guest starred in college, would be called and invited by the director of an online drama. When did you find out about that person's matter?
After you left. I had been trying to find out why you left, but no one would tell me. It wasn't until I found out that my mother's secretary was making regular remittances to an account every month.
I was suddenly startled in my heart and said, "Where is he now?" His gentle kisses landed soothingly on the inside of my wrist.
Don't be afraid. I still have a gift that I haven't given to you yet. What is it?
There was a twinkle in his eyes, but he grinned mischievously and said,
It's still a secret for now.
During the following period of time, fans were surprised to find that Theodore's temper had become better. He seldom retorted others and was quite gentle with everyone. Even his Weibo with only 5 posts was increasing in multiples every day.
Today, my wife isn't at home. I'm going to watch some restricted short videos.
The fans were excited, but when they took a look at the accompanying pictures, they were the embarrassing online mini-dramas where I played the 3rd, 4th or 5th male lead.
My wife has been in the filming crew for 3 days. I miss him, so should I go and make a guest appearance there?
To the shock of the fans, Theodore, who used to only take part in 1 or 2 big productions a year, began to make guest appearances in various small filming crews, and the photos and materials increased exponentially. So, I became a popular figure. In the eyes of the directors, I was like, buy one get one free. And in the eyes of the fans, I was like a Theodore package. I became famous all of a sudden, and everyone was vying to get me. Everyone was happy except Theodore, who held me tightly and complained crazily.
Those who snatch other people's wives will be struck by lightning.
1 month later, Theodore fished me out of the film crew and took me into the private theater in his house. Why so mysterious? After the variety show ended, thanks to my relationship with Theodore and my down-to-earth acting skills, a film crew invited me to play the 2nd male lead. After shooting the ancient costume drama for more than half a month, I felt a bit strange when I came out.
I have a surprise for you.
I was stunned for a moment. He pressed the remote control and the video started playing. A familiar yet strange middle-aged man appeared. He was dirty and poverty-stricken. When he saw passers-by holding bread, his eyes showed a longing look. And this man should have been hidden by Theodore's mother. I stood up abruptly. How could he? Theodore snorted coldly.
It was okay if I didn't know before. But now that I know what he did to you and your family, how could I let him live a carefree life? So you, in my mother's name, I sent him to travel in Africa. He's there, but no one will send him money anymore.
I was stunned on the spot, and my mind went blank for a moment. Africa? Theodore reached out and pulled me into his arms, his tone full of heartache.
That bastard will never show up in front of you again.
Tears fell wantonly, and the marks left by cigarette butts on my shoulders grew more and more painful. Finally, in the pain, I was reborn. I buried myself in Theodosia's arms. I tilted my head up and kissed him on the lips chaotically. Or perhaps gnawed at them. The two of us were like two twisted beasts, rolling and twining, tearing at each other. Finally, we became intertwined, with you and me and you. From the long night until the break of dawn. Finally, I devoured the moon and scattered billions of stars. Theodosia's hadn't been home for 3 months. He would receive calls from the ex.He family every month. But he never went back even once. I saw all of this inside. It was still because of me that it affected the relationship between him and his mother. Theodosia's reached out and hugged me from behind, saying,
Honey, what are you thinking about?
I turned my head to look at him and said, You haven't been home for 3 months.
Do you want me to go back?
I kissed the corner of his lips. I hope you can be happy. He was silent for a moment, then hugged me, burying his face into my neck, his voice sounding a bit muffled.
I can only be happy when I have you. But she forced you away from me. And even used that kind of method. I don't know how to forgive her. But I can't really hate her either. Honey, I don't know what to do.
Feeling a bit sour in my heart, I reached out and patted him on the back. Tentatively, I suggested, Why don't we start with going back home to have a meal first? I'll wait for you to come back at home. That week, Theodosia's went back to the ex.He family. Before leaving, he even locked the door from the outside for me. It was the kind that no one could open except me. I was a bit speechless. I've said that I really won't leave again. Theodosia's didn't say a word, but his expression clearly showed he was worried. All right, as long as he's happy. I was a bit nervous when he went back. I didn't even have the mood to recite the script that I was supposed to. In the evening, when he came back, he had a big smile on his face and even brought me a cake. I don't know what he said or how he said it. Anyway, he never mentioned his pansafafersa again. 4 years passed like this. The first movie that I starred in was released. I was nominated for the Best Actor. At the awards ceremony, I met Theodosia's father. He looked at me with gentle eyes and reached out to pat me on the shoulder.
Young man, you're quite good. Come back to have dinner with Theodosia's some other day.
That day, Theodosia's was as happy as a child. On the weekend, Theodosia's held my hand and we went back home. At the dinner table, none of the 4 people mentioned the past events again. We had a fairly pleasant meal. I let out a sigh of relief. I guess I passed the test. After dinner, Theodosia's took me for a walk in the garden. It's the 15th day of the month today. The moon is full. I couldn't help myself and reached out to hook my arm around Theodosia's neck. Then I kissed him with a bit of tipsiness from the wine. Theodosia's, you are the moon in the sky. My moon. He chuckled softly and put his arm around my waist.
It's yours. Only your moon.
Okay, so that was the story, and I need to talk about my emotional damage for a second. First of all, the main character, his entire energy is, I will suffer in silence so you don't have to. And honestly, that frustrated me so much. Like, sir, use your words. I was literally yelling at my screen when he just left, without explaining anything. That's not noble, that's just emotional self-sabotage. But here's where this story got me. The ex-boyfriend, he spent 3 years trying to find out the truth. 3 years. That level of obsession is usually a red flag, but somehow it wasn't. It was actually kind of heartbreaking because he wasn't angry, he was just lost. The scene that actually broke me in when he said, "Just tell me you love me. That's all I need." I had to put my phone down. That's the kind of line that stays with you. So here's my real question, and I genuinely want to know what you think. If someone left you to protect you, but they never told you why, and then 3 years later they come back, do you forgive them? Or is the silence itself the betrayal? I honestly don't know where I land on this. Anyway, if you want more of me staying up too late and yelling about fictional characters making terrible decisions, hit subscribe. I regret nothing.